Hello, dear parents. Welcome to ninth Standard Social Studies. Parents, many times the thought would have come to your mind or your children's mind that why do we teach social studies? It's a part of curriculum and it is good too. This subject helps students to know the world around them better, the past, present, and the future. They understand how man's progress and behavior is tied to many geographical and social factors. So, social studies is important. This is the only subject where they understand the story of mankind. This is the only place where they understand actions, reactions, and consequences of mankind. Social studies is so very vast. They have so many subjects in one: history, geography, political science, and economics. Let us look at what they are going to study in ninth and 10th standard of history textbook. So, the ninth and 10th standard textbook deals with the story of modern India. Some chapters have already been covered in the 8th standard in our school. We plan to intersperse the remaining chapters from both these textbooks and finish teaching them by Unit 1 of Standard 10th. Now let us see what is the challenge to study history. The chapters are very long and there are lots of stories in them. The students have to be able to read fast and silently in order to manage rereading of the lessons for revisions. Now let us look at what is the Walnut advantage to learn history, and that is that the summaries and the gist of lessons are given. Students can use the given notes and presentations for reference as they cover the main points. Many a times, a lot of memorization of dates and details is usually expected for answering traditional questions. But in Walnut, we focus on a big picture. So, we accept students to have an overall understanding and do not ask questions that require intense memorization. For certain chapters, activities have also been designed which require the students to research for some information and apply it to the situation in today's world. Now let us move on to geography. Certain chapters from the ninth and 10th have already been covered in Standard 8. We will consider the chapters for both textbooks arranged in the logical flow till Unit 2 of Standard 10th. Now let us see what is the challenge in front of the students to study geography. There is a lot of information in the physical geography chapters that the students have to remember. There is also a lot of map work and diagrams that are expected in many answers. Now that we have seen the challenges, let us also see what is the Walnut advantage. So, the map work will be practiced in class and practice questions will also be given. Summaries are given point wise in notes that are concise and are handy reference material. Now that the school has given you notes, so what should students do? Get an idea of the way things are linked to each other and be comfortable locating things on a map. Get enough map and diagram practice. Let's move on to the next subject, that is political science. In ninth and 10th standard textbooks will be taught till Unit 1 of Standard 10th. It's actually similar to the civics that we all learnt in school, but the presentation is quite different. Many of the topics covered in this are quite nice, though the presentation is a bit heavy and sometimes heavily biased too. So, the challenge to study political science in front of the students is that the presentation is quite not neutral. There are a lot of biases which we would not like the students to have at this stage. The content in each chapter is a lot, so a lot of material has to be read through very fast for every concept. Apart from this, there are a lot of case studies and stories in the lessons to make students understand the concepts. Our students come from urban, well to do families and may not be exposed to those kind of situations that are mentioned in the textbook. So, let us find the walnut advantage, and that is specific questions on case studies and incidences are not asked. So, memorization need is kept to the minimum. Main points are given and students are asked only about their learning and factual information. For certain chapters, activities have also been designed which require the students to research information through various news articles and or website links. Students will then be asked to put forth their thoughts, thus making them aware of the political scenario around. Now, what should students do? Understand the core of each concept, the laws, the reason for the laws, and the procedures for following them. Try to be to the point in language so that answers cover the needed material and are not very long either. That was all about political science. Now let us move on to economics. The ninth and 10th standard textbooks will be taught till Unit 2 of Standard 10th. The textbook has a lot of theories that are explained through a story format. There are also questions that test the application of the knowledge learnt in the chapter. The challenge to study economics is again lots and lots of reading that the students have to go through to just cover the basic material. Lots of new terms will be introduced to the students as the subject moves forward. The Walnut advantage is that point wise summaries and to the point questions will help them deal with the subject better than students going through conventional schools. Now, let us see social studies overall. Now, how are the students taught? This question is but obvious in your minds. So, now let me explain. Textbook reading is split into sections and points may be presented before or after so that the students understand what it is that they need to pick from the vast content that they go through. And the walnut advantage is that getting the gist and having ready executive summaries created by our research team is a great advantage. Walnut students get used to these formats and also have a guideline to create their own notes for more effective studying. After listening to this, a question might come to your mind that what will be the speed of teaching? So, in order to complete the curriculum, this subject goes a little faster than others right from the beginning. It's important for students to pay attention as there are not too many revision gaps for this subject. There are long answers to read, and so there is a lot to write here too. Social study has the longest answer paper even in the 10th standard exam. It's important to keep answers to the point, else they become too long and papers cannot be completed in time. So, in order to get good marks, the expectations are that in Walnut, the questions asked in this subject are kept to the minimum. It is important for students to complete the question answers for each period. If time permits, rereading the lessons should be done too. At least 15 to 20 minutes must be devoted every day to this subject. Parents can generally keep children informed of current affairs and include them in their discussions on politics. This all will help them a lot. Take my words. Now let us focus on how to study this subject. This subject is heavy and involves a lot of reading and remembering. We have kept it to the bare minimum at Walnut, yet it is not an easy one to deal with. Solving MCQs regularly will help to keep the information fresh and will also help in long answer questions. In order to keep the students revise the chapters and the subject periodically, there will be weekly test. 3 subjects will be tested every week. Social study test, that is of 15 marks, will be conducted every alternate week. These tests will help revise the chapters taught till date. The marks will not be included in the final assessment. Now let us see how the students will be assessed throughout the year. We will have the details of the examinations. 2 unit tests and 1 term exam will be conducted in each term. 2 such terms in a year. Only descriptive exams will be conducted on exam days marked in the calendar. Objective tests are frequently conducted to keep students updated with concepts. All examinations conducted throughout the year accounts to be 4 unit tests plus 2 terminals will be together of each 80 marks and will go on for 3 hours. The paper format will be of the board. So students learn how to attempt the various questions within time limit. Students will have 20 marks as internal assessment. So overall in a unit the distribution is 80 marks plus 20 marks, that comes out to be 100 marks. Overall in a year students will give exams of 600 marks, both subjective and internal. The internal assessment of 20 marks will include marks for completed file, project and assignments are counted for standard 10th. Marks are also given for class participation and taking part in school activities. So focus on being a good student. Now let us have a look at the portion for exams. Each unit test will have the portion of that unit only. Term 1 exam will have portion of Unit 1 plus Unit 2. Term 2 exam will have portion of Unit 3 and Unit 4 and some lessons of Term 1 for which details will be sent later. So this was the summary of how social studies will be taught. So now few things to be remembered. Watch out for these things. Don't be absent. You miss a lot if you are away from school even for one day. Learn to write fast and in good handwriting, else you lose out. Do your homework every day. That way you write it while it's fresh in your mind and it stays there longer. So easier, isn't it? So all the best for the next academic year. Thank you.
If you like our videos, do share them and subscribe to our channel. If you want awesome quizzes, write to us. Keep watching and keep learning with Walnut.